Bueno, in this lesson we are going to look at 5 different Spanish verbs that are irregular in the preterite tense. Those verbs are ser, ir, ver, dar, and estar. Let's start with ser and ir. Ser meaning to be and ir meaning to go. When we conjugate them in the preterite tense in Spanish, they are irregular both in how the conjugation is spelled and the fact that both verbs conjugate exactly the same, and it's context clues that tell us the difference between the two verbs. Let's take a look at these conjugations. Yo fui, tú fuiste, usted, él, and ella fue, nosotros y nosotras fuimos, and ustedes, ellos, and ellas fueron. If you look at the endings, they look quite similar to the endings that we used in the preterite conjugations of regular ER and IR verbs. You might notice, though, too, that there are no accent marks in these conjugations, where with the regular ER and IR verbs, there were. So what are the 4 irregularities for the conjugations for ser and ir in the preterite tense? First off, 2 different verbs, exact same conjugation. How do we tell the difference? Context clues in the written or spoken conversation. Again, it's similar to the ER and IR conjugations, but not exactly the same. And lastly, no accent marks. That's the conjugations for ser and ir. Let's look at the conjugations for ver and dar. We've looked at ver to see already when we looked at regular ER and IR verbs. We're going to take a review of that verb right now as we compare it to dar, which means to give, because these 2 preterite conjugations are quite similar. Ver followed the pattern for ER verbs in the preterite tense. Dar follows ver, not the other AR verbs. And again, we're going to take out the accent marks that have been so important in many other preterite conjugations. Another irregularity with these 2 verbs, as we have discussed before, is that the root of these verbs, the stem, becomes one letter, either the V or the D, once you've taken off the AR or ER ending. Then you put on the endings. So for ver, our conjugations are vi, viste, vio, vimos, and vieron. And for dar, di, diste, dio, dimos, and dieron. See the similarities? So how can we summarize these 4 irregularities between these 2 verbs, or on these 2 verbs, ver and dar? A 1-letter stem, which we don't see that often. Dar conjugates like an ER-IR verb, not like the AR verb that it is. Ver's irregular preterite for nosotros and nosotras. It doesn't follow the infinitive stem. It doesn't follow the ER ending of the verb. But like all other ER verbs in the preterite tense, it has an imos, I-M-O-S ending. And lastly, no accent marks. So that's 4 of the 5 verbs. Our last verb that we are going to look at is the verb estar. In the preterite tense, estar is one of the verbs that is called a U-stem verb. Its stem itself is irregular in the preterite tense. It continues its irregularities with its conjugations. Sometimes the conjugation follows an AR verb pattern for preterite. Sometimes it follows an ER or IR pattern. It does, along with the other irregular verbs we're studying in this lesson, continue the practice of no accent marks in these conjugations. But let's look more closely at the preterite conjugation for estar. So remember, your accent marks are off. Your stem is not estar, but estuve. It's a U stem verb. And then let's mix it up between AR and ER verbs. Yo estuve. Tú estuviste. Usted, él, and ella estuvo. Nosotros and nosotras estuvimos. And ustedes, ellos, and ellas estuvieron. As I said, this is one of a few U-stem preterite tense verbs. If you'd like to learn about other U-stem verbs, check out the bonus lesson in this unit on that topic. Break it down. What are the 4 irregularities? The U stem, definitely. For yo, usted, él, and ella, we follow the AR preterite conjugations. For all other subjects, we follow the ER and IR preterite endings. And no accent marks. Now let's practice a little dar and ver conjugation. Match the Spanish to the English sentence. Nosotros dimos. We gave. Yo vi. I saw. Ella vio. She saw. Tú viste. You saw. Tú diste. You gave. Ellos dieron. They gave. Yo di. I gave. And nosotras vimos. We saw. Did you get them right? Great job. Now let's do it again, this time with ser, ir, and estar. Matching again the English to the Spanish. Nosotras estuvimos. We were. Ellas estuvieron. They were. Tú estuviste. You were. Yo estuve. I was. Él fue. He was or he went, depending on context. Yo fui. I was or went. Tú fuiste. You were or went. And nosotros fuimos. We were or went. Check it again. A job well done. Muy bien.